act of shopping is as old as civilization itself. It's the very backbone of society. It's the engine room of the economy, or not. During these 5 docu-vlogs, weird word I know, I'm going to share with you the very tip of 5 Titanic killer-sized icebergs. We're going to look at the act of shopping. We're going to look at how children develop as shoppers. We'll look at the family unit, and we'll look at how digital is superseding traditional retail. And then finally, we'll take a look into the future and see what might be. But you don't need just to take my word for it. We've spoken to lots and lots of mums and dads from all over Europe, and some of the best marketeers from France, from Germany, and from Spain to tell us just what might lie ahead. We've only got 7 or so minutes, so I'm going to get on with it. People have been trading goods and services since 9000 BC. You know, a saber-toothed tiger knife in exchange for a woolly mammoth chemise, you know, that sort of thing. I wouldn't have thought that licensing was particularly high on the ancients' agenda. But about 2,500 years ago, things started to change a little bit. In ancient Greece, each town had an agora, a marketplace. And in that marketplace, traders would come from all over the Mediterranean basin to offer their goods for sale. Egyptian cotton, Phoenician dates, lovely bowls from Syria. Whatever you wanted could be got at the agora. The agora was a place where all elements of society overlapped. It was a place for theatrical performance, for political debate, for sporting occasion, and for religious ceremonies. The traders would convene, set out their stalls, and they would look to sell more goods based on what was happening in the agora. It was almost as if they set their own retail tent poles and their own seasonal calendar. Ways of browsing, evaluating, deciding what to buy is something that we have in common with our ancient ancestors. Like it or not, shopper behaviour is something that is passed from parent to child. Humans make approximately 35,000 decisions a day, and we have developed shortcuts to help reduce this mental load. These help us jump to a decision without having to think too much about it. Behavioural economist David Kahneman, the author of Thinking Fast and Slow, defined this as our System 1 thinking and codified human behaviour into biases that unknowingly we use daily, just as the Greeks in the Agora did. What Kahneman uncovered is essentially the common denominator that binds all human decision making. Whether you are shopping for that woolly mammoth chemise on the tundra, wandering around Tesco's in Milton Keynes, or awaiting the arrival of the drone that's carrying that VR headset that you ordered from WeChat in China, the thinking process, the decision-making process is exactly the same. System 1 thinking is our biased, immediate decision-making process. It's driven by instinct and our prior learning. And for our world of licensing, this is very, very powerful when it comes to making that purchase decision at shelf. Especially, it turns out, for children. Who'd have thought kids could be impulsive? The connection the child makes with the character, if it's good, is what drives the purchase decision. And this is the simple commercial beauty of licensing. And as shopping evolves into the digital world, marketers and researchers are building on Kahneman's work to identify how things play out in an online shopping experience. There is a cycle of exploration and evaluation that happens between the purchase trigger and eventually closing the deal. Google call this the messy middle. Following a research study, Google have prioritised 6 key biases that have the greatest impact on what purchases are made. The first is category heuristics, short descriptions that simplify purchase decisions. This is the very heart of marketing. And in our always-on consumer society, it turns out that the longer you have to wait for a product, the weaker the proposition becomes. Google call it The power of now. We all need social proof, don't we? Recommendations and reviews from others can be very persuasive. Scarcity bias. As availability of a product decreases, the more desirable it becomes. Just think bog rolls in March. Authority bias is being swayed by an expert or a trusted source. Take Jamie's cookbooks. I love them. I've got every single one. And finally, the power of free. A free gift with a purchase, even if unrelated, can be a powerful motivator. As parents, we hate cover mounts on children's magazines, but if you're 5, a free toy with a picture of Pepper on the front, there's nothing's going to drive you to that magazine aisle faster. The complexities of today's decision making means that anyone that has goods or services to sell really needs to understand what makes the consumers tick. So how on earth do we unpack all of this? Well, let's start with understanding how children develop as consumers. And we'll do that in vlog number 2.